15 years after the Third World War triggered by a nuclear explosion in Turkey, people around the world have to adapt to a terrible environment. Food supplies, water, electricity, groceries, shelter, and even human existence have become very scarce. The remaining humans had to live in groups to survive. One morning, in a hidden camp, a man called the Boy has to live alone after losing his family. The boy dreams about his brother who was killed during the winter. Then the boy wakes up and rushes to get some supplies outside. While inspecting an empty house, a man screamed and ran into the empty house, chased by 3 other men. These 3 men had paint marks on their faces, which symbolized that they were a group of sadistic and obscene cannibals. Meanwhile, the boy, terrified, could only hide and watch as the man was killed and eaten by the cannibals. After waiting for the cannibals to leave, the boy came out and saw the man's mutilated bones. He ran scared and returned to his hideout camp. Then the movie shows a glimpse of the story of the boy and his family before the outbreak of the Third World War. They watched the news on TV about the seconds Turkey was nuked, which triggered the Third World War and the destruction of the world, as well as the beginning of the boy's story. Next, the movie shows the boy retrieving his quarry. After that, he goes back to exploring some empty houses in search of something useful. While checking out one of the empty houses, the boy meets a woman, the girl. The boy, who was suspicious, thought the girl was a trap for the bad guys. But the girl said that she was alone, starving, and the whole group was dead. She offers herself in exchange for food. However, the boy is different from the other people here. He doesn't attack, doesn't hurt anyone, and isn't a pervert. The boy leaves and leaves behind a pigeon he's hunted. Because he's too nice, the girl followed him and begged to stay with him. Reluctantly, the boy finally took her to his hideout camp. Arriving at the camp, the girl was surprised to see the abundant food supplies in the camp. As night fell, they chatted for a while about their pasts. The next day, the girl apparently betrayed the boy. She took some canned food and left the boy's camp. The boy was unaware of her departure and didn't know where she was going. As it turned out, the girl was about to meet 2 men from her group, the man and the black. They turned out to be a group of thieves who used the girl as bait. Here comes a scene where the boy's father appears to be saying goodbye after being recruited to fight in World War III. However, his father was unfortunately killed in the war. Later, the boy, who had intended to help the girl, instead, the group also came to the boy's camp and stole some food supplies. The helpless boy could only surrender without a fight. Knowing that there were other supplies that might be hidden, the man forced the boy to tell all the other food supplies by torturing the boy a little. The boy finally revealed a few bottles of wine. Satisfied with getting what they wanted, the girl, the man, and the black left the place. The boy, who felt tormented, did not want to be a coward and intended to take back the stolen supplies. He searched for the location of the man and his group until he finally saw the burning smoke coming from the man's location. The boy hid in the bushes waiting for nightfall. When night fell, unexpectedly, there was another group of cannibals who secretly wanted to attack the man's sleeping group. The boy screamed and woke up the man and his group. Then a sadistic fight ensued. The black was killed while the man was knocked unconscious after being beaten several times. When he almost died, the girl immediately helped him. The girl, who was also almost killed, was saved by the boy. The boy hurried away with the girl and some stolen supplies. The next morning, the man woke up from his stupor, but suddenly several other cannibal groups captured him and forced him to tell where the girl had gone. The black's corpse was mutilated by the cannibals. Frightened, the man finally told the girl's location. On the side, the girl and the boy returned to the camp to treat some scars while telling stories. The boy recounts the death of his brother, who was killed by the cannibals. Long story short, when the boy went to fetch water supplies, the cannibals came to the camp and kidnapped the girl and took her with the man. Later, after returning from fetching water, the boy learned that the girl was kidnapped. He went to look for the girl. Arriving in the middle of the forest, he saw the man, who was tied up. Then 2 cannibals attacked the boy. The boy fought them off. When he was almost killed by one of the cannibals, the man immediately helped him. The boy and the man also had a dispute because they both aimed to save the girl. Eventually, the man and the boy worked together. On the other hand, the girl was already at the cannibal group's headquarters in a building, and was handed over to the chief's assistant, who intended to make her the chief's desire. At first glance, a cannibal captain didn't seem too happy to hand over the girl. He also tried to rebel against the chief. Later, the girl is locked up in a room, and there is another woman who has been locked up for months. She becomes an outlet for the cannibal's desires. Back to the boy and the man who are passing through the fence with the cannibal's head on display. Then there is a sign warning not to go through the fence. The boy thought that maybe the people who displayed the heads of the cannibals were just targeting the cannibal group, and maybe they could help him to attack the cannibals. They entered and met a man and old woman who were a married couple. They claimed to have several troops ready to attack the boy and the man if they messed up. However, the boy explained that he had come to ask for help to save a woman at the cannibals' headquarters. However, the couple refused to cooperate. The boy and the man realized that they were just a couple defending the area and trying to scare them with a non-existent army. The boy and the man left the place. On the side, the girl was cleaned up and prepared to meet the chief. The chief came to her and asked about the people who killed his men. The girl also tried to scare the chief by saying there were more than 20 people from her group who would help her. The undaunted chief said it would take an army to rescue her from that place. Here, later on in the journey, the boy and the man had an argument because the boy was starting to give up on the situation. He deliberately took the man around in circles to find help. The boy said that heading to the headquarters of the cannibals alone without weapons and troops was tantamount to suicide. However, the man gave the boy a little advice until finally the boy obeyed the man and told him the shortcut to the cannibals' headquarters. Long story short, night fell. The boy and the man rested somewhere while telling stories. The man asked how the boy could find a camp full of food supplies. The boy explained that the camp was obtained from the map of an old grandfather who had died. On the other hand, in the chill of the night, we see the girl forced to spend her first night at the cannibal base, where she is molested by the chief. Then, suddenly, his men arrived and reported that some of his men had been killed again. He ordered to send some of his men to track down the boy and the man. Knowing his men were killed, the chief took out his anger on the girl. The next day, the boy and the man who were on their way realized that they were being followed by someone. They split up and finally managed to catch someone who has been following them all night. The man tortured him while asking where the cannibals were keeping the girl. After getting the answer, they killed him. Long story short, when night fell, the chief brought most of his troops to search for the boy and the man. Meanwhile, the girl was held in a room and guarded by the chief's assistant. Then somewhere, a cannibal's men told him that the people who killed some of his men were only 2 people. However, the chief did not believe him. The next day, the boy and the man arrived at the cannibals' base. They infiltrated easily as most of the cannibals were looking for them outside. The boy and the man finish off some of the cannibals and manage to free the girl. The girl also intends to free another female prisoner. On the way to the woman's room, the girl encounters the assistant and kills him on the spot. Unfortunately, the chains were so strong that the girl failed to free the woman. To relieve the suffering of the other female prisoner, the girl is forced to kill her. The 3 of them managed to get out and escape before the chief and dozens of his men arrived and saw their base that had been ransacked. The chief was furious, and here was a cannibal captain who hated him looking happy. The chief, who was furious, gathered all his men to kill the boy, the man, and the girl. In addition, the boy, the man, and the girl in their escape had a dispute about finding a safe hiding place from the cannibals. Finally, they decide to ask for protection again and hide in the place of an old couple who previously rejected them. They told them that the girl was a woman who had been rescued from the cannibal base. The husband and wife also asked if there were any other women who had survived, because it turned out that the husband and wife had a daughter who had been kidnapped by the cannibals. Unfortunately, their daughter was already dead. The husband and wife ended up helping them to hide from the cannibals. Because of the small number, they made preparations to install an alarm and several traps to minimize the attack if the cannibals came. Long story short, when the old man and the boy were on guard, suddenly the alarm they installed sounded signaling the cannibals had entered their territory. Then they rushed to fight the cannibals with the weapons that they had made. The girl and the boy lures the cannibals and leads them one by one into a trap. Because the cannibal army was too large, the old couple and the girl retreated and ran home. Meanwhile, the man stayed behind to fend off the few cannibals that were chasing them. Later, when they got home, a cannibal captain appeared to take the boy hostage and asked them to exchange him for the girl. Because the boy was threatened with death, the girl finally gave herself up and the boy was freed. Then, the other cannibals came to surround them. After the chief got the girl, he ordered his men to kill them all. However, the man suddenly appeared and attacked the chief. The other cannibals were forbidden to help by the cannibal captain. Unfortunately, the man lost and was killed. Disappointed with his men who didn't obey him anymore, the chief berated all his men. However, the cannibal captain, who had hated him for a long time, fought him until he defeated and killed him. Winning the fight against the chief and becoming the leader of the cannibals, the cannibal captain was unfortunately shot dead by the old woman. Since they didn't have a leader anymore, the other cannibals eventually retreated. The old husband and wife were relieved. Then the boy and the girl became lovers, and the movie ends. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Because by subscribing, you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.